One's regular, one's light. She goes there.
I'd like to honor tonight.
A little louder.
Very, very special. First, I'd like to introduce Dale Clementi, the Michigan Handball Association.
Louder. Hear you. Can't hear you.
Yeah, we need louder.
Presentation of Keith Thode.
We can't hear you very
Not
well.
Handball. You're working on the sound?
Thanks.
Hello. Where's Dave Dohman?
Here. That's Larry.
Were you going to take me on a cruise?
Just you and I?
No.
Whoa!
You were going to pay for it. Because I'd rather talk about you.
In due time, Dale.
Vern, thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of Keith's behalf. The trick of this is going to be whether Keith is still talking to me when this is over. In all seriousness, Keith embodies all of the qualities fundamental to a celebration of his candidacy and his receipt of one of handball's highest awards, the Porter. Keith has worked behind the scenes as official photographer on behalf of USHA, and when not in attendance, when Vern is not in attendance, he's called upon to provide specific photos as requested by Vern. Keith has demonstrated an unfailing commitment to the game of handball through his service to our fantastic game. During the late 1960s, his service to Ward Levy. Hey, Keith, Vern, can you fire him for 5 minutes so he can come up here? Keith, help me run it off.
He didn't have his camera. No one told him we were starting.
He has to airbrush my photos, though.
Gotta get his camera.
It really is running off, I'm sorry. Again, during the 1960s, in service to Mort Levy, and in the last 10 years, we have
Hold on. Good job, Vern. Go, Matt.
It's probably a good thing.
Right now.
Fantastic.
A little bit.
Is that a yes?
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
You're talking about a cruise.
Let's wait on Keith. Yeah. Thanks for the reminder.
There he is.
Or at least a hike in the wilderness.
Shirt and tie. All right. Anyway, on behalf of the current administration, most of the photographs of the one and the three-wall nationals displayed within the pages of the national magazine are exclusively Keith's work. He was the driving force behind the switch from 35mm photography to digital, and in a self-deprecating manner, we know that you're very much that way, right, Keith? He would suggest that any work he does on behalf of the USHA is just to make Vern's life a little bit easier. The very first digital photo to grace the cover of the USHA magazine and taken by Keith was the October 2003 issue and depicted Tony Roberts and Cesar Sala, champions of the 2003 National One-Wall Tournament in New York. Perhaps the game of handball in the instant context may more appropriately be referred to as the business of handball for Keith, for his work in the service of the national handball community is nothing short of very hard work. Keith takes over 700 photos at each event, and for each photograph taken spends nearly 2 minutes adjusting color, contrast, brightness, cropping, whatever it takes. Nearly over 700? How many? We're going to change that to 1,400.
Don't forget to have the weight limit.
Yeah. For a single tournament, in addition to the time on his feet, he spends in excess of 23 hours tweaking the final product. Is that going on? Okay. He is committed to excellence. It's also common for Keith to burn over 100 copies of all 700 of those photos, 1,400 as the case will be, and hand them out to fellow handball players. I know I spend half my life just keeping up with what he gives me. His medium of exchange is the opportunity to talk with people, find out who they are, what they do, and otherwise experience the breadth and width of the lives of others as a means in which to enrich his own. Photography facilitates that change. He has created a virtual library of photographs, a legacy of which has never been previously created, and he has amassed a photographic history of handball's finest. With that said, we have a few gifts for Keith before he's presented his award. I think he needs some decent equipment. Bill, we're not going to give him a Rolex. So instead, we thought we'd get him a very good camera, and so we have one. So bear with us here, if you will. Can't open it.
Oh, that is a nice one.
That looks like the original, too.
All right, one other item. This will tell you how long Keith has been doing this. This is a gift for Keith, but if everyone wants to look at it. That is Keith Thode, we think.
You can't tell how he's wearing it.
We're nearly done. On behalf of the USHA, please join Bill Cantwell and myself in congratulating Keith on the Porter Award. Thank you.
Is this thing off? Oh, no, it's on. Geez, I got a long speech and I got a short speech. And you're going to get the long one, that'll go in the magazine, so nobody has to listen to it now. I'll send you a copy of it, but I'm going to read it right now. I mean, read it tonight. You know, thank you, Dave Chimsky, for those kind words. Your oratory wit may only be exceeded by your cat-like prowess in the handball court. Told you I'd get you back. I got some worse stuff here, but you weren't too bad, so I'll leave it out. When I first heard I was getting this award, I thought, Jesus is great, but even to have my name mentioned in the same sentence with Carl Porter is an honor, let alone the award itself. Said I would do this too. I wanted to make sure there was no cash involved here. But this is, yeah, the Cal Potter Award. This is real nice. That's an inside joke from last year. You made sure it was correct this year. That's good. Taking the pictures is both a lot of fun and it's a lot of work. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I used to think it was a lot better than volunteer reffing, but nah, it's gotten to be much more work than that. At least it keeps me near the courts, which is better than being stuck behind the tournament desk with the likes of my snore mate, Mike Meltzer. Rooming with Mike at the tournaments with all his jokes and his stories adds to the fun part of the tournament. Back rubs and foot massages would be even better, but I'll take what I can get. And I would also, all right, if you don't fall asleep early like you usually do. What I'd really like to do is take this plaque and put it up on the mantle between a couple of my national trophies, but I seem to be short a couple of national trophies. Dohman, I know you've got lots of extra ones.
I'll borrow you two.
Okay, that'd be great. Okay. I'm going to have to turn this over to the real the show tonight. It was great to be a warm-up for you tonight, Dave. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Fun. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we're here to honor someone who's going into the Handball Hall of Fame. And to do that, two of the people that helped him get there, one by not playing with him, and one by playing with him. The not playing with him, this is his brother Larry Dohman, and his seven-time national partner, John Bike. Larry Dohman and John Bike.
You bring a scorecard there later or what?
Can we get a line, Judge? More with that, guys.
Okay, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Larry Dohman. I am Dave's older brother by 7 years, and I am also a handball player. Thank you. However, those of you who have seen me play probably have wondered how I could possibly be related to Dave. But I am. When Dave asked me to be one of the presenters tonight for his induction into the Hall of Fame, I was obviously quite honored. One reason was because this is as close as I will ever get to the Hall of Fame. But in addition to that, when Dave asked me, he thought it would be a great idea to have John Bike speak about the later championship years, and for me to perhaps talk about Dave's earlier years in handball. Well, for Double D, as he is affectionately known at Rainbow Beach, and I look around and I see so many people here from Rainbow Beach, it almost seems like we're back at 76th and South Shore Drive. So I know Dave appreciates all the Rainbow Beach people coming here tonight to honor him. But for Dave, it all began in 1963, because in 1963, the Chicago Park District decided to build 3 brand new outdoor 3-wall handball courts at Rainbow Beach. Well, our father was a Chicago police officer for about 30 years. Our mother was a stay-at-home mom, and they had settled in about a block and a half from Rainbow Beach. So in 1963, when Dave was 7 years old, he started playing handball. I was 14 years old, and it became the thing that we did all summer long. And I look out here and I see, and I'm not going to start names because I lose track, but there are a lot of guys out here who were playing at Rainbow Beach with us in 1963. It became the sport that we did. Other people were playing baseball. We didn't have a little league at Rainbow Beach, so we played 3-wall handball. It was what we did all summer long. In fact, it got to the point at the end of the summer when it got cold in the fall, we did not even know that you could go indoors and play handball. We didn't know what 4-wall handball was. And that might be why Dave has so many national 3-wall titles to his credit. Yep. I look out and I see so many of Dave's friends and fans here. A lot from Chicago, a lot from Rainbow Beach, LaGrange, Bloomingdale. But I also see Michigan players, Maryland players, Ohio players, Florida players, California players, New York players, Delaware players. I think it's a credit to Dave that so many people have come out here tonight to honor him. And I especially want to thank Vern Roberts, Dave's first national championship partner, because when Dave decided he wanted to do this here at Toledo, that was something very unusual. As many of you know, Hall of Fame induction ceremonies are always held, or I think always held, at the 4-wall Nationals banquet. Dave asked Vern if we could do it here, and Vern agreed. And think about that, if you will. Dave has 28 national titles. He has 28 national titles, and 26 of the 28 were won right here on these courts in Maumee. So it's really great that we're doing this here tonight, and that's something. Thank you, Vern. One thing that is so great about Dave is that he's such an ambassador to the game of handball. Yeah, he's a great player. He's won a lot of national titles, but he's truly an ambassador to the game of handball. Every tournament you see him at, whether it's LaGrange, Chicago, Cincinnati, Killshot, here in Toledo, he's always out there talking to people, talking to players, their wives, their children. He's just got a great personality, great character. He makes people want to watch him play and emulate him as a handball player, which I think is important. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about what he has meant to Rainbow Beach. For the last 25 years, Dave has been very instrumental at the beach, running our tournaments, tournament organizer. He runs the tournament, does the floor control, gets the shirts, handles the hospitality. He'll step in and be a referee when there's an ugly match going on and the ref can't handle it. He's not a prima donna. He really, really does give back to the game that has given him so much. And I think that's what kind of sets him apart from so many other national champions and other players. In conclusion, Dave, on behalf of all of your friends here in Chicago and beyond, we want to congratulate you tonight on your induction into the United States Handball Hall of Fame. It couldn't happen to a nicer person. And your mother is smiling down right now as you, I can assure you. Congratulations, Dave.
All right, I'm going to start by saying what an extreme honor this was for me to be the one David asked to give me a part of this night with him. First time I've ever gotten to speak on anyone's behalf, but I have attended many of these, and I noticed about the presenters, I thought the most successful ones who just got to the point, said what they had to say, and then left the night to the man who earned it. So with that in mind, I started taking notes. All our time as competitors first, then partners and friends. I don't know, it got kind of cumbersome. A lot of notes here. Luckily Dale and Larry were very brief. So what happened was, I had to decide to take the funny stories about being his friend out. So put these over here. And here's my speech.
Love you, John.
I'm here to talk about his achievements, and one remarkable one is in any sport at all, especially a physically demanding sport like three-wall handball. The man made open double finalists in 4 different decades. He and Vern won in the 70s. He and I won in the 80s and the 90s, and he also made an additional finals in the new millennium. So that's a phenomenal story about longevity. On the other hand of that, he also, in my opinion, had the most impressive single game performance I've ever seen. One of our tournaments in LaGrange, Illinois. No need to mention the opponent's name, is Eric Klarman and Albert Apuzzi. But we won the first game. He comes in, we get 1 serve. Second game, we're first servers. We get 1 serve. Dave always served first for us. I never served that game, 21-0.
However, I will interrupt. It wasn't 21 aces. I had a very good partner.
Thank you, I was getting to that next. We're here mainly for the 9 open 3-wall doubles championships, and that spanned 3 decades in its own right. That's phenomenal. 9. The first few with Vern Roberts, his highlight he mentioned was the big Chicago-New York rivalry in the 70s that New York had been getting the best of, and Dave felt very proud of his first one because they brought one back to Chicago. He had a little span. I think he was out of town for a few years, and actually the reason we got together was we both had injured partners our first year. Vern put us together. I was supposed to play with Fred Lewis, and he had something else in mind, but they got us together in '88, and we went 5 straight years then. took a little break from that while he focused on seniors, and we got 2 more after that in the late 90s. And all I want to say about that is, you know, the backcourt guy, experienced football players know the backcourt guy is the workhorse. And for him, it was even more extreme. Me being left-handed, people didn't want to ever serve me. And having the name, I mean, people were trying to find him, which as it turned out to be a mistake. So as much of a workhorse as a deep court player usually is, it was really, really brought to another level with him. I mean, he just, I cherry-picked setups, I ran around and made a few gets, I covered a few of the balls that his non-Hall of Fame left hand were not going to return. But other than that, I mean, the 9 titles
One of your right hands is involved there.
are because of what Dave's done. Now, since then, I was looking this up this afternoon, what he's done in age group play. He's actually won from 2000 to 2008, the 9 tournaments here. He won the singles event 8 of those years. I mean, that's... Not this year, though.
Canadian friends.
All right, my cell phone alarm went off. I'm at 4.5 minutes, so I'm going to say maybe the most important thing is, and you all know this anyway, but he's just one of those guys that, I mean, you are a slightly better person because of experience of knowing him. He's touched all of us in a positive way, and for that reason especially, I am extremely honored to bring David Dohman into the USHA Hall of Fame.
Sit. Sit.
It's like Jack Nicklaus. Tell him, Paul.
The green jacket.
For those of you that know me,
The master.
insurance.
In case we start crying.
4-1 was the line. Okay.
Every Hall of Famer needs a good cry. They really do. As my brother mentioned, I've been playing since 1963. And I figure I'd take this moment to talk for a little while. So if you need to, let's take 2 minutes, go get a plate of food, get a beer, get a beverage, whatever you might need.
Okay, just beer then.
I will be brief, as much as I don't want to. I will say in the 37 years that I have been coming to the Three-Wall Nationals, which does include some stints in Columbus, when Columbus, Ohio also hosted it, including Toledo. This is the first time in 37 years that I have ever packed a pair of slacks, dress shoes, and a button-down shirt. I do appreciate it. The jacket feels great. It feels like cashmere. I had to say that. I was in a little bit of a quandary. I really didn't know how I want to do this. Did I want to have it written word for word? Did I want to have an outline? Did I want to just wing it? And as luck would have it, the other gentleman that was being presented tonight, Mr. Keith Thode, who's also become a friend of mine over the years, said, Double D, you can't just wing that. You gotta have something put together. So I did put some notes together, Keith, so thank you.
I got my call to the hall last summer. I was actually at home. Again, as luck would have it, my wife actually answered the phone. And on the other end of the line were Vern Roberts, my first doubles partner in the National Open three-wall title division, and a very good family friend of mine, Bill Behan. I wanted to mention Bill tonight because he couldn't be here. But he, in the process of being elected to the Hall of Fame, and there is a process that does have to be followed by the guidelines set forth by our directors and so forth, but Bill Behan was my champion. He took the time to, I'll say, lobby the committee that does put the names forth and chooses those people worthy of the Hall of Fame. And Bill couldn't make it tonight. He actually had a wedding of a daughter of a very good friend. All I can say is I wish he was here. Please welcome. That's the tearful part. Now the rest is going to be fun. The groups of handball clubs or parties that I've come across. My brother touched on Rainbow Beach. Rainbow has been my home. The umpteen years I've played there, the friends I've gotten to know, the competitive spirit, the jockeying, the ribbing, everything that goes on in the locker room, on the courts, in the stands, has certainly been a part, Mark Murphy, you're smiling, certainly become a part of me. And I can't think of a better place to have honed my skill.
Double D.
Jacket's a little bit hot. I think I'm going to unbutton this a little bit.
Take it off.
Thank you, Arma.
Take comfort.
I hear that more often than you might think. Not. Larry is one of my four brothers that also played handball. I do have a younger sister who I don't believe ever really played handball. Her daughter tried it today, but my sister was also athletic in her own right. She was the marathon runner in the family. But growing up, there was nobody I wanted to beat more than him, my oldest brother Harry, and my other two brothers Tom and Chuck. And boy, did they give me the competitive spirit. Right, honey? From from Rainbow Beach, I moved on to Lake Forest College. And the Lake Forest community is another body of people that welcomed me, specifically Mike Dow, who I can't thank enough. Coach Dow, as he's affectionately known. But if there's a guy that gave me a blueprint for my career, it was Coach Dow. My doubles partners. I guess it is about me, and I got the jacket, but if I could, I would give a piece of this jacket to the guys I'm going to mention here. Vern Roberts, please. Vern, come up. Vern and I, as you heard, we won our first two titles. And for me, personally, it was the most exciting time in my career and Vern's to accomplish what we did. At the time, it seemed like we were the kids. We were the two snot-nosed kids that took down the behemoth known as the New York Athletic Club. Now, 30 years ago, that meant something. The game has changed. We all play together. There's much more of a camaraderie now that I guess I could say the antagonism has become much less over the years, and I think that's good for the sport. But 30 years ago, oh boy, there were a lot of battles fought on the court and in the stands between the groups of people that were dominating the sport. And I only mention the New York Athletic Club because they have churned out more pros and more quality players. As evident, you still look at today, that the players that are walking around wearing NYAC shirts and shorts. So I tip my hat. John Bike Jr.
Yeah.
Partner number 2 on the national team. John mentioned we won five years in a row. The bar had already been set by Mr. Vern Roberts Jr. and Nadi Alvarado Jr., I believe. Looks like there's a lot of juniors here. But they had set the bar. They had won 6 titles in a row. John and I fell 1 year short. And I think when we fell short, that kind of sat in our craw a little bit that we didn't equal 2 of the greatest players that ever played, not only 3-wall, but also the 4-wall game as well. Came back, John and I were able to finish off 2 more titles, and to this day I'm still very proud of playing with John and winning 7. After John dumped me, after I carried him for 7, 8 years, I moved on to the age categories. Jaime Paredes is another player that's not here. Not sure how many titles we won together. But stepping on the court with Jaime was like playing with your twin. He knew what I was going to do. Mike Moran, thank you. He knew what I was going to do before I did it. He was one of the easiest partners to play with. To my knowledge, I don't think Jaime and I lost any age categories. So, which direction is west? Somebody help him. That way? Wave to Jaime. He's in California somewhere. Quality partner. Tissue time out. Next partner was a kid I went to grade school with. How many guys in the stands can say they won a national title with a guy they went to grade school with? Raise your hands. There's one guy, Kevin Jarvis. Raise your hand. There's 2. Now these 2 guys, of course, you know their career with the USHA and Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. Kevin and I won 2 years in a row, and I remember being the old pro, for lack of a better term. I remember we discussed about going back to 3rd year. You'll know where I'm going. I told Kevin the hardest thing to do is win a national title 3 years in a row. 3-peat. It's tough to do. We didn't do it. We fell short. But Kevin did get his 3rd and I believe his 4th title with other partners after he dumped me. So, again, Kevin, I tip you. Kevin's doing me a favor filming tonight, so he asked not to be called up here, but Kevin, I love you. Now I'm getting in the groove. Now I'm on a roll. I'm actually a better conversationalist than I am a speech giver. And I can't get through a speech without shedding a tear. But I'm on a roll now, so bear with me. I need about 3 more minutes and then it's over there. Current partner, Tim Sterrett. Tim, come on up there. We haven't had that speech yet about trying to win 3 in a row because it's like bad karma right now. There's 2 guys up in the stands that are chomping at the bit to beat our butts tomorrow. So we're not going to go there unless it's privately back later. But Tim has helped me garner 2 more national titles in the 50 and over. We're hoping for a 3rd. But Tim, again, has been a very great, reliable partner. But I think what makes Tim and I a little bit unique compared to the other partners I've already mentioned, I hope you agree with this, but we're fairly interchangeable. I don't think there's a time in a match, if I'm struggling or if he's struggling, we can't look at each other and say, hey, pull the switch, which to those of you non-handball people means, let me go to the other side, you go over there, and let's see if we can upset the apple cart of these 2 guys that are proceeding to score points too easily for us. and I think that is one of Tim's big attributes, and I want to shake his hand. My last partner. Give me a second. Old college buddy. How long have we known each other? 30 years? Maybe 35? Scott Rosenthal. Scott and I played together in Las Vegas, Nevada last February in the National Masters Doubles Invitational 4-wall tournament. John or Vern alluded to my lack of success on the 4-wall court. I have 2 titles in the 4-wall version. One was in the 50-plus singles, California, when I was 50. And last year I had the pleasure of winning with Scott. It was my 3rd or 4th title. It was Scott's first title, and I was pleased to play with him and get him his first national. Scott. As I mentioned, I went to college with Scott. I've known him for many, many years. He was out there with his wife, Michelle. Scott could not stop smiling for 48 hours. And it wasn't because of his success at the tables in Las Vegas, Nevada. Lastly, I would like to thank 2 handball bodies, the United States Handball Association, for providing this venue the opportunity to come back here year after year. And then the guys that do the cooking and all the organizing here.
Let's hear it.
I know there are many Toledo guys out there. I'm looking at a bunch up in the top row up there, and I'm not going to try to attempt names, but we come back here year after year, contribute, try to show our support of what a great venue, what a great location this is, and I hope I'm playing here for another 30 years. Speaking of Toledo, I was at the portable beverage mobile facility, whatever that thing was called back there, the other night, and one of my old-time buddies said, "Okay, Double D, Mr. 26, 28 national titles." He's the best partner he ever had. I said, I've had many. He said, "No, give me the best partner." There's 2 additional partners that never won a tournament with me. My son, Craig. Our daughter, Stephanie, could not make it. She's a junior at college, and it just, with her schedule, she could not get here. I promised her that Mr. Kevin Jarvis would tape this and make sure we get her a copy so her and all her sorority sisters on a Friday night can have a pizza beer party. So, thank you all much. It's been a great career.